Rain shimmered across the quiet streets of Seattle like tiny falling stars. Streetlights cast golden halos on puddles that rippled with each drop. Beneath one of those glowing lamps stood a little girl, no taller than the curb, clutching a teddy bear so tightly it almost seemed alive. Her blonde hair peeked out from her yellow raincoat, the hood too big for her small head. She rocked on her pink boots, watching the road with wide blue eyes. Every few seconds she rose on her toes, hoping to see the one person she waited for every night. Her father. Headlights finally cut through the mist, and her eyes lit up. The Old Navy sedan slowed, water splashing under its tires. When it stopped, the driver's door opened, and a tall man stepped out. His dark brown hair was damp, the soft rain already dotting his navy rain jacket. His jeans were faded, his boots muddy, but his face held that tired gentleness only single parents seem to have mastered, exhaustion wrapped in love. He bent down, opened his arms, and before he could say a word, the little girl ran into them. That if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of love to heal even the deepest scars, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your one click helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. Hey, sunshine, he whispered as he picked her up. Her laughter blended with the rain. She pressed her cheek against his beard-stubbled face, murmuring something about her teddy's wet nose. For a moment, the world felt simple again. But life rarely stays that way. As they drove home, the rain thickened, blurring the city into streaks of gold and silver. At a red light, he saw her, a woman on the side of the road, soaked, no umbrella, clutching her purse as though it were her last anchor to safety. Her dress, once elegant, was drenched and clinging to her frame. Her dark hair stuck to her face, and her heels wobbled with each hesitant step. Something in that image pierced him, not attraction, but recognition. A loneliness he knew too well. Without thinking, he rolled the window down and called out softly, asking if she needed help. She hesitated. Most people would. A stranger in the night, a man in a car, but then she saw the child in the back seat, the tiny face peering curiously through the window. That changed everything. She nodded. He stepped out, offered her his jacket, and guided her to the car. The moment she sat inside, the warmth of the heater fogged the glass. Her hands trembled as she thanked him. He introduced himself simply, Ethan, and the little girl waved her teddy, saying her name was Lily. The woman smiled faintly for the first time. Claire, she said. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Ethan didn't ask questions. The silence in the car spoke louder than words. He just drove. The rain softened outside, but inside, it still poured. In her eyes, in his memories. Lily, oblivious to the heaviness, sang softly to her teddy in the back seat, filling the car with innocent warmth. Claire turned to watch her, and something in her chest cracked open. She hadn't smiled in months. By the time Ethan stopped at a small cafe on the edge of town, the rain had become a fine mist. He insisted she come inside for something hot. They sat across from each other, steam rising from 2 cups of coffee. Claire held the cup like it might save her. The way her fingers trembled, the way she avoided eye contact, it was clear she wasn't just cold. She was lost. Ethan didn't pry. He told her about Lily, how his wife had passed away 3 years ago after a long illness, how he'd learned to braid hair and make pancakes that always turned out lopsided. Claire listened, silent, the corners of her mouth twitching at his awkward jokes. When he finally looked up and asked gently, "You okay?" she simply said, "I used to be." Over the next few days, their paths kept crossing. Claire worked at a nearby firm, but she was no ordinary employee. She had once been a CEO. Before her company collapsed, before betrayal by partners, before the scandal that ruined her reputation, she had lost her career, her wealth, her fiancé, and finally herself. She'd been walking in the rain that night not out of bad luck, but because she didn't know where else to go. Ethan offered kindness without expectation. A ride here, a cup of coffee there. Slowly, she began to speak. He never interrupted, never judged. He just listened. That silence healed more than pity ever could. Lily adored her instantly. The little girl would bring Claire flowers from the garden, tugging her hand and calling her Miss Sunshine. It made Claire laugh, really laugh, for the first time in years. One evening, as they watched the sunset from Ethan's porch, Lily said softly, "Mom was lost in rain too." The words hit like a whisper from heaven. Ethan froze. Claire's eyes filled with tears. The child didn't understand the weight of what she'd said, but Ethan did, and Claire did too. In that innocent sentence, she saw reflection, redemption, and maybe even a new beginning. Days turned into weeks. Claire found small jobs, helping Ethan organize his small auto repair business. Her business mind shone through every plan she touched. She brought order to his chaos, laughter to his silence, and warmth to his lonely home. And Ethan, in turn, gave her something she thought she'd never feel again. Safety point one stormy night. Lightning flashed outside as they all sat by the fireplace. Lily was drawing a picture, 3 stick figures holding hands under a big yellow sun. "That's you, me, and Daddy," she said proudly. Claire's voice trembled. "You drew me?" The girl nodded. "Because you're not lost anymore." Claire excused herself, stepping into the rain outside, tears blending with raindrops. Ethan followed quietly, holding an umbrella over both of them. "You don't have to run anymore," he said softly. She looked up at him, his eyes calm, steady, full of the kind of kindness that never asks for anything back. "I don't deserve this," she whispered. "You don't have to," he replied. "You just have to stay." Under that glowing rain, something changed. Not a grand confession, not a kiss, just understanding. 2 souls who had both lost everything realizing they had found something purer than they ever expected. Peace. Months later, the cafe where they'd first met held a small gathering. Claire had just been offered a new executive position at a different firm, one that valued her not for her past, but for her strength. Ethan and Lily sat proudly at a corner table, watching her speak with quiet confidence. The woman who once trembled in the rain now stood tall, radiant, and whole. When she finished her speech, she walked straight to Ethan and knelt beside Lily. "You saved me," she said, tears glistening. The little girl shook her head. "No, Mommy. The rain did." Ethan smiled through his tears. The storm that had once broken them had also brought them together. Sometimes the rain doesn't just wash things away. It brings new life. That if this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Every small act of engagement helps stories of hope reach people who've forgotten how to believe again.